Okay, I'm Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, and I'm really thrilled to be here in the company of so many forward-looking feminists, members of Congress, and like-minded men in support of the Equal Rights Amendment. Just 2 days ago, the Supreme Court of the United States came down with a ruling in the Walmart versus sex discrimination case that highlighted how pervasive sex discrimination is, and that what women are still facing in the workplace just because they are women. This Walmart decision was a wake-up call, and it underscored the need to pass the Equal Rights Amendment. As Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg noted in her partial dissent, one manager told an employee that, and I quote, "Men are here to make a career and women are not," end quote. It's just one small example of the negative effects that mere attitudes and stereotypes can have on women's economic opportunity. Let me be clear, the Equal Rights Amendment would not have directly impacted this case, since the ERA only prohibits governmental actions that discriminate on the basis of sex. But putting the clear language of the Equal Rights Amendment into the United States Constitution would change attitudes, would change the conversation, and have an impact on our national conscience. Passing the ERA is not all we need to do to end gender-based discrimination, but it is one of the things we absolutely must do. It was 37 years ago that the Equal Rights Amendment was passed here in the United States Congress by an overwhelming majority. It simply states, and I quote, "Equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex," end quote. It was sent to the states for ratification, and 35 states ratified it, but it did not get the necessary 38 states during that time permitted, and that is where we stand. Though women still have made great progress in the past 38 years, that progress can all too easily be rolled back. Laws can be repealed, judicial attitudes can shift. We have had to fight for equality on 1,000 different fronts, winning some, losing others, and now we're in danger of really losing ground, struggling just to hold on to the rights that we thought that we had already won decades ago. So it's time to stop playing defense and go on the offense. It's time to pass the Equal Rights Amendment, to put women in the Constitution, and to put an end to the rollback of women's rights. It is time to actually advance our rights again. We have seen again that the single most secure form of protection for the rights of men and women is to have a clear and ironclad guarantee written into our Constitution. The principle of equality between men and women cannot be truly safe and secure until it is written into the framework of our Constitution and our government. It is something we have to do, but let's be honest with ourselves, it is not all that we have to do. We have yet to address the undermining of Title IX, which deals with equality in education and sports, and if we pass the Equal Rights Amendment, that would stop. We have to erase the gender wage gap, which continues to penalize working women and their families. We have been stuck at 78 cents to the dollar for well over 30 years. We need to address the poverty rate for older women, which is twice that of older men. And we need to address the issue of equal opportunity for women in the military. It is somewhat ironic that it is thanks to the efforts of our men and women in the military that Afghanistan and Iraq now have an equality clause in their Constitution, but sadly we do not have one in our Constitution. 24 other countries have an equality clause in their Constitution, but sadly the United States does not. 53 countries have a non-discrimination provision. We do not. 185 countries have ratified CEDAW, but the United States has not. 185 countries cannot be wrong. With people struggling all over the world to reshape their governments, to make them more responsive to the real needs of the people, now is the time, and this is the hour, for the United States to reclaim its position as the moral leader of the free world, to earn that stature by fully embracing at long last the concept of equality and justice for all and equal opportunity for all. And there is no question that Americans believe that it is absolutely the right thing to do. In 2001, an ERA awareness poll by Opinion Research Corporation found that 96% of respondents agreed with the passage of the Equal Rights Amendment that men and women should be treated equally. And there is no question that it is a necessary thing to do. Earlier this year, Justice Scalia, who incidentally wrote the Walmart decision, said that he believes the Constitution's 14th Amendment does not extend to protecting women against sex discrimination. While we know that he happens to be wrong, and that 40 years of precedent have said that women are indeed protected under the Constitution, Scalia's comments show that there are powerful people out there, including Supreme Court justices, who believe that women are not included in the Constitution and are absolutely not protected. We cannot allow women to be at the mercy of judges like Scalia. We cannot allow that there be any question that there is some gray area in our Constitution as far as equal rights and opportunities. We must pass the Equal Rights Amendment, and I know with your help and the leadership of these remarkable men and women and the support of my outstanding colleagues in Congress, we will pass the ERA. And I want to say that I am thrilled that our partner in this is Senator Robert Menendez. We work together in the United States Congress. He is now a great leader and a great senator, and he is leading this fight for us in the United States Congress. We're honored with your presence. Thank you for your work.
Behind us, we heard in the last session the reading of the Constitution, and what you will not hear in the language specifically guaranteeing women's equal protection under the law is something that is, to the surprise of most, the fact that it doesn't exist. Some will say, why do we need explicit language specifically guaranteeing women equal protection under the law? Well, in the building across the street, one of the 9 individuals who provide final judgment of our laws recently said that he interprets the Constitution to contain no equal protection for women. In other words, he may not be predisposed to protect the right of women when gender discriminations come before the Supreme Court of the United States. So those who think that, in fact, this is an unnecessary exercise need to be riveted on comments such as Justice Scalia and others, whose interpretation of the Constitution would leave women left in less constitutional protection than any other person in this country. 3 out of 4 Americans assume that the Equal Rights Amendment is already part of the Constitution. Many others probably believe that social progress has eclipsed the need for it. But Justice Scalia's recent comments have made it crystal clear that until equal protection for women is explicitly spelled out in the Constitution, the courts might very well not guarantee it. It's 2011. I can do my banking on my cell phone. I can have all of the music and photos in the palm of my hand. I can even video chat with friends and families thousands of miles away. But I still can't guarantee my daughter that our legal system will protect her against discrimination. It is time to change that. It is time to fix it. It's time to erase any shadow of a doubt that women have equal protection under the law, and that's why I'm proud to be the Senate sponsor of the Equal Rights Amendment.
No one has bugged Congresswoman Maloney more about this amendment than me. And we were only 3 states short, and we're going to get it through this time. We have a former member of the Supreme Court of Texas, a great lawyer with us, and everybody else here is connected with the Judiciary Committee. I can tell you without any question that this will pass the House Judiciary Committee and will also become law. Now there are 2.
I'm Judy Chu, and representing the state of California. You know, today women can be neurosurgeons, Supreme Court justices, candidates for president, soldiers, and police officers. Some days it seems like we can do anything and everything, so it's hard to believe that the Constitution doesn't guarantee women the same rights as men. And because of that, a woman's world remains an unequal world. The most vivid reminder of this is that we still make 78 cents for every dollar a man earns. And when women turn to the courts to right these wrongs, the Constitution doesn't always protect them. Though women have made significant progress over the decades, our successes hide our continued struggle. Women are forced to depend on the courts and Congress to protect the rights that we have earned. And the Walmart case reminds us that this progress toward equality can be taken away at any time. 90 years ago, the Equal Rights Amendment was drafted. The time has more than come to make sure the Constitution reflects American values, equality for all. Let's pass the Equal Rights Amendment.
Yeah. Thank you, Congresswoman Maloney, for pushing forward and never letting anyone forget that women are not equal in the Constitution, and for garnering already 159 co-sponsors in the House. Congresswoman Maloney constantly reminds us, with women determined, we will be in the Constitution. And before most people even, they think right now because the House is controlled by a conservative force, or let's face it, there's no division on this. Overwhelmingly in the polls, Americans are in favor of equal rights for women, and we're going to make that a reality.
I'm Susan Scanlon. I'm chair of the National Council of Women's Organizations, or NCWO. We are a bipartisan coalition of 240 progressive women's organizations representing 12 million women. From Girls Inc. to the Older Women's League, each and every one of us endorses the Equal Rights Amendment. I want to thank the next generation, my generation, and future generations for coming out here to melt along with me, to turn up the heat on those who would make war against women. Yesterday at 11 a.m., I stood in front of the Supreme Court, less than a block from here, protesting the deplorable decision against women in Walmart versus Duke. Today, just 25 hours later, I'm standing here cheering for the Equal Rights Amendment. That's because it would kick the legs out from under Justice Scalia and his obscene argument that the Constitution does not protect against sex discrimination. Let me congratulate Congresswoman Maloney and Senator Menendez for pinpoint timing.